Damon Rivers opened his eyes at 5:47 a.m., 3 minutes before his alarm. He'd trained himself to do this years ago when his wife left, when every unexpected sound in the night sent him scrambling to check if his daughter was still there, still safe, still his. The small 2-bedroom apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant rumble of the city waking up outside. Sunday morning light filtered through the thin curtains, painting golden streaks across the worn hardwood floors he'd refinished himself last summer. Damon stretched, his back protesting. 34 years old, and he already felt twice that some mornings. Night shifts at the logistics warehouse paid the bills, but they were slowly grinding him down, vertebra by vertebra. He sat up on the couch, his bed for the past 3 years, since Naya needed the second bedroom. His daughter deserved her own space, her own sanctuary. The couch was fine. It had been fine for months now. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Damon padded to Nia's door, opened it just a crack. His 8-year-old daughter lay sprawled across her twin bed, one leg hanging off the edge, her bonnet slightly askew over her thick, natural hair. A book about a black girl astronaut lay open on her chest. She'd fallen asleep reading again. His heart swelled. Everything he did, every double shift, every skipped meal, every exhausted bone in his body, it was all for her. He closed the door softly and headed to the kitchen. Sunday morning meant pancakes. It was their ritual. The one morning a week he didn't work, the one morning they could just be together. As he measured flour and cracked eggs, Damon's mind wandered to the week ahead. Rent was due in 5 days. He'd have to pick up an extra shift, maybe 2. That meant missing Nia's school assembly on Thursday, the one where she was receiving an award for her science project. The guilt sat heavy in his chest, familiar as an old scar. His phone buzzed on the counter. A text from his coworker Marcus. "Yo, your boss was acting weird last night. You see her before you left?" Damon frowned. He'd left the warehouse at midnight, his usual time. His boss, Simone Garrett, had been in her office with the door closed. She was always there, always working, always wearing that expression that said, "Don't talk to me unless the building is literally on fire." Simone Garrett, the woman who made his life a careful dance of trying to be invisible while still being competent enough not to get fired. She was brilliant, ruthlessly efficient, and colder than a January morning. In the 2 years since she'd taken over as regional director, she'd fired 6 people, restructured the entire department, and earned the nickname the Glacier among the warehouse staff. She was also, if he was being honest with himself in the privacy of his own thoughts, absolutely beautiful. Tall, with rich brown skin that seemed to glow even under the harsh warehouse fluorescence, natural hair she wore in elaborate styles that probably cost more than his grocery budget, and eyes that could freeze you solid with a single glance. Not that any of that mattered. Women like Simone Garrett didn't look at men like Damon Rivers. He was just another employee, another number in her efficiency spreadsheets. He texted back, "Didn't notice anything." Why? Marcus's response came quickly. She was crying, man, in her office. I walked past around 11 and heard her. Damon stared at the phone. Simone Garrett crying? That was like hearing the sun had decided to shine cold. Before he could respond, he heard movement behind him. Probably Nia, drawn by the smell of pancakes. "Morning, baby girl," he said without turning around. "Pancakes are almost—" He turned around and the mixing bowl slipped from his hands. It wasn't Nia standing in his living room. It was Simone Garrett, his boss, the Glacier. The woman who'd cut his requested time off last month with a curt email that said simply, "Denied. Staffing needs." She was standing in his apartment, wearing yesterday's work clothes, black slacks and a silk blouse that was wrinkled and stained with what looked like wine. Her usually immaculate hair was a mess of natural curls falling around her face. Her makeup was smudged, mascara tracked down her brown cheeks in dried rivers. and she was looking at him with an expression he'd never seen on her face before. Pure, raw fear. "Damon," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know where else to go." Damon's brain struggled to catch up with reality. Simone Garrett, in his living room at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. "How did you—" He started, then noticed his apartment door was slightly ajar. "Did I leave that unlocked?" "I have your address from your employee file," she said, and the admission sounded like a confession. "I drove here last night. I was sitting in my car outside for hours. I couldn't go home, and then I just—" She gestured vaguely. "Your door was unlocked. I came in. I sat on your couch. I must have fallen asleep." Damon's mind raced. This was his boss, in his apartment, having apparently spent the night on his couch without his knowledge. This was either a nightmare or grounds for some kind of lawsuit, he wasn't sure which. "Are you okay?" The question came out before he could stop it, before he could remember that this was the woman who'd denied his time-off request, who'd written him up for being 3 minutes late when Naya's school bus had broken down. Simone's face crumpled. For a moment, he thought she might cry again. Instead, she straightened, trying to rebuild the professional mask. "I should go. This was inappropriate. I apologize for the intrusion." She moved toward the door, but her legs seemed unsteady. Damon noticed the wine stain on her blouse again. Noticed how she kept her left hand pressed against her ribs. His EMT training, 4 years in the Army before Nia was born, kicked in automatically. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine." "That's not what I asked." He moved closer, careful, like approaching a wounded animal. "Did someone hurt you?" Simone's eyes met his, and for the first time in 2 years, he saw past the ice. He saw pain, terror, and something else. Shame. "My ex-husband," she said quietly. "He was waiting at my house last night when I got home from work. He was drunk. We got into an argument." She touched her ribs again. "I got away, started driving. I wasn't thinking clearly. I ended up here." Damon's jaw tightened. "Did he hit you?" "It doesn't matter." "It matters." His voice came out harder than he intended. "Did he hit you?" Simone looked away. That was answer enough. Behind them, a small voice said, "Daddy." They both turned. Nia stood in the hallway, rubbing sleep from her eyes, her bonnet askew. She looked at Simone with open curiosity. "Who's this lady?" Damon's protective instincts warred with the reality of the situation. "This is Miss Garrett. She works with Daddy. She's not feeling well." Nia's eyes widened with concern. She'd inherited her father's empathy, his inability to see someone hurting without wanting to help. "Does she need medicine?" "She needs to sit down," Damon said, gently guiding Simone back to the couch. She didn't resist, which told him more about her condition than words could. The glacier never showed weakness. The fact that she was allowing him to help meant things were bad. "Nia, can you get the first aid kit from under the bathroom sink?" "Is she bleeding?" Nia asked, alarmed. "Just get the kit, baby girl." As Nia scurried off, Damon knelt in front of Simone. "I need to check your ribs. That means you'll have to lift your shirt, or I can call an ambulance." "No hospitals," Simone said quickly. "No police. Please. He's connected. He has lawyers. Last time I tried to press charges, I lost my job. I can't go through that again." "Last time." The words hung in the air like smoke. Damon felt anger burning in his chest, the kind of rage that made his hands shake. He'd seen this before, in the Army, in the neighborhood. Men who thought their size or their status gave them the right to hurt women. He'd learned to channel that anger into action, into helping. "Okay," he said softly. "No hospitals. But I used to be a combat medic. Let me check, make sure nothing's broken." Simone hesitated, then nodded. She lifted her blouse with shaking hands. The bruise on her left side was already blooming, dark purple against her brown skin, spreading from her ribs to her hip. Damon's professional assessment. Likely cracked rib, deep tissue damage, but probably nothing life-threatening. His personal assessment: if he ever met this ex-husband, it would take divine intervention to keep him from returning the favor. Cracked, not broken, he said, keeping his voice clinical, professional. You'll need ice, rest, and probably some serious pain medication. I have ibuprofen. Nia returned with the first aid kit, her eyes huge. Daddy, she has a big OE. I know, baby. Can you grab the ice pack from the freezer? As Nia ran to the kitchen, Simone caught Damon's wrist. Her hand was cold, trembling. Thank you, she whispered. You could have turned me away. You should have. Why would I do that? Because I've been terrible to you. Her voice broke. I denied your time off. I wrote you up for being late. She closed her eyes. I've been taking my own misery out on everyone around me, especially you. Why, especially me? Simone opened her eyes, and in them Damon saw something that made his breath catch. Because every time I see you with your daughter, every time you talk about her, every time you choose her over work, she looked away. It reminds me of everything I wanted and couldn't have. Nia came back with the ice pack wrapped in a dish towel. She carefully handed it to Simone. This will make it better. Daddy always gives me ice when I fall down. Simone took the ice pack, her eyes suddenly wet. Thank you, sweetheart. What's your name? Nia. It means purpose. Daddy says I'm his purpose. That's beautiful. Simone's voice was barely a whisper. Damon stood, needing to do something with his hands, something with the energy thrumming through him. When's the last time you ate? I don't remember. Yesterday morning, maybe? I'm making pancakes. You're eating. Damon, I can't impose. You're eating, he repeated, his tone leaving no room for argument. For the first time in 2 years, he wasn't talking to his boss. He was talking to a woman who needed help, and helping was what he did. As he returned to the kitchen, Nia climbed onto the couch next to Simone. Are you scared? She asked with the blunt honesty of children. Simone looked at her, this little girl with the bonnet and the big eyes and the open heart. Yes, she admitted. I'm very scared. Daddy says it's okay to be scared. It means you're being brave anyway. Simone's laugh was wet, choked. Your daddy sounds very smart. He is. He's the best daddy in the whole world. Did you know he can fix anything? And he makes the best pancakes, and he reads all the voices different when we do bedtime stories. As Nia chattered on, describing her father in glowing terms that made Damon's chest tight, Simone found herself relaxing for the first time in hours. Maybe days, maybe months. This small apartment with its worn furniture and its smell of pancakes and its little girl with the big heart, it felt safer than her expensive house had felt in years. She watched Damon in the kitchen, his movements efficient, practiced. He'd rolled up his sleeves, revealing forearms corded with muscle from warehouse work. His dark skin caught the morning light, and she noticed things she'd never let herself notice at work. The way his shoulders moved, the gentle concentration on his face, the love evident in every gesture as he made breakfast for his daughter. For a woman who'd spent years being hurt by the man who was supposed to love her, there was something profoundly healing about watching a man who knew how to be gentle. Miss Garrett? Nia was looking at her expectantly. I'm sorry, sweetheart. What did you say? I asked if you want to help me set the table. Daddy says everyone who eats gets to help. Simone looked at the ice pack on her ribs, at this child looking at her with such trust, at Damon pretending not to watch them from the kitchen. I'd love to, she heard herself say. Breakfast was the most surreal experience of Simone's life. She sat at Damon's small kitchen table, 3 mismatched chairs, a wobbly fourth leg propped up with folded cardboard, eating pancakes that were somehow better than anything she'd had at the expensive brunch spots she frequented. Nia chattered endlessly about her school, her science project about renewable energy, her best friend Taylor, who had the same birthday as her. Damon ate quietly, occasionally interjecting with questions or gentle corrections when Nia's story got too elaborate. Every few minutes his eyes would flick to Simone, checking, assessing. She couldn't tell if he was checking on her injuries or checking whether she was about to bolt. Both, probably. "So, you work with Daddy?" Nia asked, syrup on her chin. "Yes, I do." Simone wasn't sure how to explain her position to an 8-year-old. "Are you his friend?" The question hung in the air. Damon's fork paused halfway to his mouth. Simone struggled. "I'm his boss, actually." Nia's eyes went wide. "You're the mean lady?" "Nia!" Damon's voice was sharp with embarrassment, but Simone laughed, a real laugh that hurt her ribs but felt necessary anyway. "I probably am the mean lady, yes." "Daddy says you're just sad, not mean. That sad people sometimes act mean because they forgot how to ask for help." Simone's eyes went to Damon. He was suddenly very interested in his pancakes, his neck darkening with a flush. "Your daddy is very wise," Simone said softly. After breakfast, while Nia settled in to watch Sunday morning cartoons, Damon walked Simone to the door. The morning had fully arrived now, the apartment complex coming alive with sounds of other families starting their day. "I should go," Simone said, though she made no move toward the door. "Where will you go?" The question stopped her. I have a hotel I use sometimes, when he's in town." "How often is that?" "Too often." She touched her ribs unconsciously. "He's supposed to be in Chicago. His company transferred him there in the divorce. But he keeps coming back. He has a key to the house. I changed the locks twice, but he just—" She shook her head. "His father knows the police chief. His brother is a judge. I tried to get a restraining order. It didn't work." Damon's jaw was tight, his hands flexing at his sides. "You can't go back there." "I have to eventually. My life is there. My work." "Your life is worth more than a house." His voice was firm, the same voice he'd used when telling her she was eating breakfast. The voice that didn't leave room for argument. Simone looked up at him. This man she'd spent 2 years dismissing as just another warehouse employee, just another problem to manage. This man who'd woken to find his boss sleeping on his couch and instead of calling security or HR, he'd made her pancakes. "Why are you being kind to me?" she asked. "I've been horrible to you." "Because everybody deserves help when they need it. That's what my grandmother taught me before she passed." He paused. "And because sad people sometimes act mean because they forgot how to ask for help." Simone felt tears burning her eyes. "I don't know how to accept kindness anymore. Every time someone was kind to me, every time I let my guard down, I got hurt. Not everyone is him. I know that. Logically, I know that. But knowing and believing are different things." They stood in the doorway, the city humming beyond, two people from different worlds finding themselves in the same small space. "Can I ask you something?" Damon said. "Yes." "Last month, when you denied my time-off request, Nia had a school play. She was the lead. I missed it." His voice was gentle, curious, not accusatory. "Why?" Simone closed her eyes, shame washing over her. "Because I was in a custody hearing that day. For a child that doesn't exist. My ex-husband filed a false custody claim to humiliate me, to remind me that I couldn't have children, that I was—" Her voice broke. "His lawyer called me barren in court, and I came back to work and saw your request to see your daughter's play, and I couldn't bear to be reminded of what I'd lost." Damon was quiet for a long moment. Then, softly, "I'm sorry. That's cruel. What he did to you. It doesn't excuse what I did to you." "No," he agreed. "But it explains it." Simone pulled out her phone, checked the time. 9:17 a.m. She should leave, should let this man get back to his Sunday, his daughter, his life that she'd invaded. But when she looked up, Nia was standing behind her father, holding something. "Miss Garrett, I made you this." She held out a drawing, clearly done just now with crayons from her room. It showed 3 stick figures, one tall with curly hair, Nia, one taller with strong shoulders, Damon, and one with fancy hair and a dress, Simone. They were holding hands. A son smiled in the corner. "We're friends now," Nia announced, "so you can come back anytime you're sad. Daddy makes the best pancakes when you're sad." Simone took the drawing with trembling hands. When was the last time someone had made her something? Given her something that wasn't transactional, wasn't about what she could do for them? She couldn't remember. "Thank you, Nia," she managed. "This is beautiful." "Do you have to go to work today?" Nia asked. "No, it's Sunday. No work." "Then do you want to stay and watch movies? We always watch movies on Sunday." Simone looked at Damon, a question in her eyes. He shrugged, a small smile playing at his lips. "You heard the boss. She outranks both of us." And somehow, impossibly, Simone found herself back on the couch, ice pack on her ribs, watching an animated movie about a girl who saves her island. Nia provided running commentary. Damon brought her water and ibuprofen without being asked. Halfway through the movie, Nia fell asleep between them, her head on Simone's lap. Simone looked down at this child, feeling her small warmth, and something inside her, something that had been frozen solid for years, began, slowly, to thaw. "Damon," she whispered. "Yeah? I need to tell you something. Something I should have said when I woke up." He looked at her, patient, waiting. "I came here last night because—" She took a shaking breath. "Because you're the only person I know who I thought might actually help me. Not because you owed me something, not because I could pay you, but because I see you. Every day at work, I see how you are with people. Patient, kind, honest." Her voice dropped. "And I realized last night sitting in my car, bleeding and terrified, that I didn't have a single person in my life who would help me just because it was right. Except maybe you. A man I've treated like dirt for 2 years." Damon was quiet, processing. What happened last night? The whole story. So Simone told him. About her ex-husband, Julian, charming lawyer, respected in the community. About the abuse that started small, verbal jabs, control disguised as concern. About how it escalated after she had a hysterectomy following a uterine tumor, how he'd used her infertility as a weapon, telling her she was worthless, broken, not a real woman. About the divorce she'd fought for, that he'd contested at every turn. About how he'd somehow managed to keep access to her life, showing up at her house, her work, her favorite restaurants. About the restraining order that the judge, Julian's former fraternity brother, had denied. About last night when he'd been waiting in her kitchen, drunk and angry because she'd been promoted to regional director, a position he'd wanted. How he'd grabbed her, shoved her against the counter. How she'd fought back this time, scratched his face, and run. "I drove for hours," she said. "I wasn't thinking. And then I realized I was outside your apartment. I'd looked up your address last week. Thinking—" She paused. "Thinking I should write you a letter of apology for denying your time off. I never sent it, but I had your address in my phone. So you came here." "I sat in my car for 2 hours. It was 3:02 a.m. I kept thinking I should leave, go to a hotel, but I needed to be somewhere that felt safe, and your door was unlocked." "Fire escape window doesn't lock, right?" Damon admitted. "Been meaning to fix it." "I came in. I was going to just sit for a minute, catch my breath, and then I saw your couch with the blanket, and She looked down at Nia. "I haven't felt safe enough to sleep in months, but here, in this tiny apartment, I closed my eyes and actually slept." They sat in silence, the movie playing, Nia's soft breathing the only sound between them. "What are you going to do?" Damon finally asked. "I don't know. I can't go home. I can't go to the police. I can't—" Her voice broke. "I don't know what to do." Damon looked at her, this powerful woman who was suddenly powerless and made a decision that would change both their lives. "Then you stay here, until we figure it out." Simone's head snapped up. "I can't ask you to—" "You're not asking, I'm offering. Damon, you have a daughter, your reputation. If anyone finds out your boss is staying at your apartment, then they'll know I helped someone who needed help." His voice was firm. "I'm not letting you go back to a place where he can hurt you, and I'm not letting you go to some hotel alone where he can find you. This is your home, your sanctuary with Nia, and right now you need sanctuary more than we need privacy." He met her eyes. "Stay. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." Simone looked at him, at Nia sleeping peacefully between them, at the small apartment that suddenly felt like the only safe place in the world. "Okay," she whispered. "Just for tonight." But both of them knew it was already more than that. As the credits rolled on the movie, Nia stirred, blinked up at Simone. "Are you staying for dinner too?" Simone looked at Damon. He nodded, a small smile on his face. "Yes," Simone said. "I think I am." Nia beamed, then sat up suddenly. "Can I do her hair? Please, Daddy, I've been practicing my braids." And somehow, impossibly, an hour later, Simone found herself sitting on the floor while an 8-year-old girl carefully sectioned her natural hair, chattering about technique while Damon cooked something that smelled like heaven in the kitchen. Her ribs still hurt. Her life was still a mess. Her ex-husband was still out there somewhere. But for the first time in years, Simone Garrett felt something she'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. Monday morning arrived with the harsh reality of normal life. Damon had called in sick to work, the first time in 3 years, and spent Sunday night on the floor while Simone took his couch and Nia slept in her room, blissfully unaware of how complicated things had become. At 7 a.m., Damon's phone rang. Work. He let it go to voicemail. At 7:15 a.m., it rang again. This time, it was his supervisor, Carl. "Rivers, where the hell are you? And where's Garrett? She's not answering either." Damon looked at Simone, who was awake, sitting up, her hand pressed to her ribs. She shook her head urgently. "I'm sick," Damon said. "Don't know about Miss Garrett." "Well, we got a situation. Her ex-husband showed up here this morning asking where she is. Guy's got scratches on his face, looks pissed. Security had to escort him out." Damon's blood ran cold. "He came to the warehouse?" "Yeah. Said something about needing to talk to her about their property. Cops were called, but he left before they arrived." Carl paused. "Rivers, you know anything about this?" "No," Damon lied, meeting Simone's terrified eyes. "But if you see him again, call the police immediately." After he hung up, Simone was already on her feet, pacing despite the pain. "He's looking for me. He knows I didn't go home. He's checking everywhere I might be." "He doesn't know about me," Damon said. "Why would he? I'm just warehouse staff." "He's thorough. He'll check employee records, addresses. If he thinks I might have gone to someone at work—" She stopped, her breathing shallow with panic. "I need to leave. I'm putting you and Nia in danger." "No." Damon stood, blocking her path to the door. "You're not going anywhere. Not alone." "Damon, you don't understand. Julian is connected. He's dangerous. If he finds out I'm here, then we make sure he doesn't find out." Damon pulled out his phone. "I have a friend. Military buddy. Works private security now. He owes me a favor." 2 hours later, a man named Kevin arrived. Ex-Army, like Damon, with the kind of presence that made people think twice. He listened to Simone's story without judgment, took notes, made calls. "I can get you into a safe house," Kevin said. "Network of them for women in your situation. He won't find you." Simone looked at Damon, then at Nia, who was coloring at the kitchen table, casting worried glances their way. "How long would I have to stay there?" "Until we can build a case strong enough that his connections don't matter. Documented injuries, witnesses, pattern of behavior. Could be weeks, could be months." Simone felt her chest tighten. Weeks or months in hiding, like a criminal, while Julian walked free. It was exactly what had happened before, after the first time she tried to leave him. "There has to be another way," Damon said. "There is," Kevin replied, "but you won't like it." The plan was simple and terrifying. Simone would stay at Damon's apartment, out of sight, while Kevin worked on building a legal case. Damon would return to work, acting normal, keeping eyes and ears open for any sign of Julian. "This is insane," Simone said that night after Nia had gone to bed. "I can't just hide here like some fugitive." "You're not hiding," Damon countered. "You're staying somewhere safe while we figure this out." They were sitting at opposite ends of the couch, the space between them charged with unspoken tension. Simone had changed into borrowed clothes. Damon's sister had dropped off some things earlier, no questions asked, and with her hair in its natural state and no makeup, she looked younger, more vulnerable. "Why are you doing this?" she asked for the third time since Sunday. "Because it's right." That's not a good enough answer. People don't risk their jobs, their homes, their children's safety just because something is right. Damon was quiet for a long moment. Then, "My wife left when Nia was 5. Just walked out one day, said she couldn't do it anymore. Being a mother, being married to someone who chose the military over her career." He picked at the couch cushion. "I came home from deployment and found a note. She'd already filed for divorce, signed away custody, everything." Simone listened, her chest tight. "Nia asked me for months when Mommy was coming home, and I had to tell her that some people don't know how to stay. Some people run when things get hard." He looked up at Simone. "But I also had to teach her that not everyone runs, that some people stay, some people help. That's what my grandmother taught me before she passed. She raised me alone after my parents died. She showed me what it means to be there for someone no matter what." "So, you're helping me to teach your daughter a lesson?" "No," Damon said softly. "I'm helping you because when I look at you I see someone who's been fighting alone for too long, and I know what that feels like." Simone felt tears burning her eyes. "I've been alone for years. Even when I was married, I was alone. Julian made sure of that. He isolated me from my friends, my family, told me they were jealous of our success, that I didn't need anyone but him." She wiped her eyes angrily. "By the time I realized what he'd done, I had no one left. And then I couldn't have children, and he made sure I knew I was worthless without that. Barren, broken, not a real woman." "That's not true." "Isn't it?" She laughed bitterly. "I can't give anyone a family. I can't—" "Family isn't about biology," Damon interrupted. "It's about showing up. It's about choosing people and letting them choose you back." He gestured around the small apartment. "This is my family, me and Nia. We're not broken because her mother left. We're complete because we chose each other." Simone looked at him. This man with his quiet strength and his daughter's braids in his hair from earlier when Nia had practiced on him. This man who'd taken in his boss without hesitation, who'd called in sick for the first time in years, who was risking everything for someone who'd treated him terribly. "I don't deserve this," she whispered. "Maybe not," Damon agreed, "but you need it, and sometimes that's more important." If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. They sat in silence, the city humming beyond the walls. Then Simone spoke, her voice barely audible. "When Julian hit me the first time, 7 years ago, I told myself it was an accident. When it happened again, I told myself I'd provoked him. By the third time, I'd convinced myself I deserved it." She looked at her hands. "It took losing everything, my friends, my family, my ability to have children, before I finally left. And even then, I didn't really leave. I just existed separately." "And at work?" Damon asked gently. "At work, I could control things. I could be powerful. I could make people afraid of me before they could hurt me. She met his eyes. Especially people like you. People like me? Good people. Kind people. People who reminded me of who I used to be before Julian broke me. Her voice cracked. Every time I saw you with Nia, every time you smiled at her or rearranged your schedule for her, it was like looking through a window at a life I'd never have. And I hated you for it. Damon absorbed this, understanding dawning. So, you punished me. Yes. The admission seemed to cost her everything. And I'm so sorry. There aren't words for how sorry I am. Damon stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city lights. My grandmother used to say that hurt people, that the only way to break the cycle is to choose different, choose healing instead of hurting back. How do you choose healing when you don't know how to stop hurting? He turned back to her. You let someone help you. You trust that not everyone will use your vulnerability against you. Simone felt something shift inside her, like ice cracking. I don't know if I can do that. You're already doing it, Damon said softly. You're here, aren't you? 3 days passed. Damon returned to work, keeping his head down. Simone stayed in the apartment, working remotely when she could, telling the office she had a family emergency. Nia, sworn to secrecy with the gravity only an 8-year-old can muster, treated it like an adventure, bringing Simone books and drawings, teaching her card games. On Thursday morning, everything changed. Damon was at work when Carl pulled him aside. Rivers, we need to talk. Someone filed a complaint about you. Damon's stomach dropped. What kind of complaint? Sexual harassment. Inappropriate relationship with a superior. Carl looked uncomfortable. Specifically, with Garrett. The warehouse floor tilted. I haven't. Her ex-husband filed it. Says he has evidence you've been having an affair, that you're hiding her somewhere. Carl held up a hand. I don't believe it, but HR has to investigate. You're suspended pending review. Damon drove home in a daze. When he walked into the apartment, Simone took one look at his face and knew. He found out. He filed a complaint, sexual harassment, says we're having an affair. Simone's face went pale. He's trying to destroy both our careers, make it so neither of us has anywhere to turn. That night, after Nia was asleep, Simone made a decision. I have to turn myself in. Go to the police. Face him. End this. No. Damon's voice was firm. Damon, he's going to destroy you. Your job, your reputation, your ability to provide for Nia. I can't let that happen. And I can't let you walk into a system designed to protect men like him. They argued in fierce whispers, both trying not to wake Nia, both terrified and stubborn. Finally, Simone played her last card. If I don't do something, he'll keep escalating. Eventually, he'll figure out I'm here. And when he does... She looked toward Nia's room. I won't let him hurt her to get to me. Damon went very still. He wouldn't. You don't know him. He's obsessed with breaking me, and the best way to break me now would be to hurt the people helping me. The words hung between them, heavy with truth and terror. Then we go on the offensive, Damon said. We stop hiding and start fighting. Kevin worked fast. Over the next 48 hours he gathered everything. Medical records from past incidents, testimonies from Simone's former co-workers who'd witnessed Julian's controlling behavior, security footage from the warehouse showing Julian's aggressive confrontation. More importantly, he found something. Other women. 3 of them, ex-girlfriends from before Simone, all with similar stories of abuse, all silenced by Julian's connections. If we can get them to testify, Kevin explained, we have a pattern. His connections won't matter against 3 corroborating witnesses. But there was a problem. One of the women had disappeared. The other 2 were terrified to come forward. Simone made a choice. On Monday morning, exactly 1 week after she'd shown up at Damon's door, She walked into the police station with Kevin, Damon, and a lawyer Kevin had connected them with. She filed a formal complaint, detailed everything, showed the pictures of her bruises, now fading to yellow-green, provided Kevin's evidence. The detective, a tired-looking woman named Rodriguez, listened. Then she sighed. "Miss Garrett, I believe you, but Julian Hayes has powerful friends, unless we have something undeniable." "You have me," said a voice from the doorway. Everyone turned. A woman stood there, black, mid-30s with scars barely visible on her temple. "I'm Candace Morrison. Julian Hayes put me in the hospital 4 years ago. I was too scared to press charges then. I'm not scared anymore." Behind her, another woman appeared, then another. All 3 of Julian's ex-victims, standing together. "We saw the news," Candace explained, "that he's been harassing his ex-wife. We knew he hadn't stopped. We knew eventually he'd kill someone if we didn't stop him." Detective Rodriguez sat up straighter. "Ladies, if you're willing to testify, I think we can make something happen." The case moved fast after that, with 4 women testifying to a pattern of abuse, with documented evidence, with the video of Julian's warehouse confrontation showing his violent temper. Even his connections couldn't protect him. The arrest warrant was issued on Wednesday. Julian Hayes was taken into custody at his office, his lawyers scrambling. Damon was cleared of all charges. The harassment complaint was revealed as a false allegation filed in retaliation. He was reinstated, with back pay and a formal apology. But the real victory came 3 weeks later at the hearing. Simone sat in the courtroom, Damon on one side, Nia on the other. The little girl held her hand tightly, a small anchor of support. When the judge, a different judge this time, a woman with steel in her eyes, issued the restraining order and announced the criminal charges would proceed to trial, Simone felt something break inside her. Not break down. Break free. She cried. Damon put his arm around her shoulders and Nia climbed into her lap, careful of her still healing ribs, and hugged her tight. "You're safe now," Nia whispered. "Daddy keeps us safe." 6 months later, autumn painted the city in gold and red. Simone stood in the doorway of a new apartment, hers, finally, with locks Julian had never touched, in a building with good security and neighbors who looked out for each other. It was smaller than her old house, but it was hers. And more importantly, it was close to Damon's apartment. 3 blocks, to be exact. There was a knock at the door. Simone opened it to find Damon and Nia, carrying boxes and wearing matching grins. "Special delivery," Damon announced. "1 housewarming gift, as requested." Inside the box was a set of cookware. Practical, perfect, and exactly what Simone needed. "From both of us," Nia added, "so you can make Sunday pancakes at your place, too." Over the past months, Sunday pancakes had become tradition. Simone would arrive at Damon's apartment early before Nia woke, and they'd cook together, talking quietly about the week, about the trial preparations, about small healing steps. Then they'd wake Nia, and the 3 of them would eat together, and it felt like family. Simone had been terrified to name it, but Nia had no such fear. "Are you going to marry Daddy?" she'd asked one Sunday, syrup on her chin. Simone had choked on her orange juice. Damon had gone very still. "Why would you ask that, baby girl?" he'd managed. "Because he smiles different now. Happy different, and you look at him like he's pancakes." Now, standing in her new apartment with them, Simone felt that same question humming in the air. After they'd unpacked the basics and ordered pizza, after Nia had fallen asleep on Simone's new couch the same way she'd once fallen asleep between them, Damon and Simone stood on the small balcony, looking out at the city lights. "I got the promotion," Simone said quietly. "Vice president. They announced it today." "That's incredible." Damon turned to her, genuine pride in his eyes. "You deserve it." "I also recommended someone for my old position, regional director." She met his eyes. "I recommended you." Damon blinked. "Me? I'm warehouse." You're brilliant, Simone interrupted. You have a logistics degree you never finished because you enlisted. You've been doing the job of 3 people for years without recognition, and more importantly, you understand what it means to lead with integrity. She took a breath. The board approved it. The job's yours if you want it. Damon stared at her, speechless. It comes with a salary that means you won't have to work double shifts. It comes with your own office and flexible hours so you never miss another of Nia's events. She stepped closer. I'm not offering it because I owe you. I'm offering it because you've earned it, because you're exactly what that department needs. Simone. He shook his head, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. I don't need to think about it. Yes. Obviously, yes. They stood there, close enough that Simone could feel the warmth of him, could count his heartbeats in the pulse at his throat. There's something else, she said. Something I need to tell you. Okay. When I showed up at your door 6 months ago, I was broken. I'd convinced myself I was strong because I could survive alone, because I didn't need anyone. But the truth is, I was dying. Slowly. One piece at a time. Her voice shook. You saved my life. Not just from Julian, from myself, from the person I'd become. Simone, let me finish. She took his hands, felt them warm and solid in hers. These past months, being part of your life, being with you and Nia, it's shown me what I've been missing, what I thought I could never have. She looked up at him. Family isn't about biology. You taught me that. It's about showing up, choosing people, letting them choose you back. Damon's heart was pounding so hard he was sure she could hear it. I don't know what this is between us, Simone continued. I don't know if it's just gratitude or trauma bonding or something real, but I know I want to find out. I know I want to wake up and make pancakes with you. I want to braid Nia's hair and listen to her stories. I want to be part of your life, not just as someone you rescued, but as someone who chooses you every single day. Damon was silent for a heartbeat. Then 2. Then he smiled, soft and warm. You think I don't know what this is? Do you? It's love, Simone. Messy, complicated, started in crisis love, but it's real. He cupped her face gently. I've been falling for you since that first Sunday when Nia made you that drawing. Maybe before. Maybe from the first time I saw past the ice and realized you were just someone hurting, trying to survive. Simone felt tears streaming down her face. I love you. Is that crazy? Is it too fast? Probably, Damon admitted, but I don't care. I love you too. They kissed there on her balcony, the city lights glowing around them, Nia sleeping peacefully inside, and it felt like beginning. 1 year later, the small church was packed. Damon stood at the altar, Marcus beside him as best man, watching Simone walk down the aisle in a simple white dress, her natural hair crowned with flowers. But what made his throat tight, what made his eyes burn with happy tears, was the little girl walking beside Simone, holding her hand. Nia, in her flower girl dress, beaming with pride, helping guide the woman who'd become her mother in every way that mattered toward the man who'd taught them both how to heal. At the reception, Nia stood between them, holding both their hands as they cut the cake together. Speech, someone called. Damon looked at Simone, at Nia, at the family they'd built from broken pieces. 1.5 years ago, he said, someone showed up at my door, scared and hurting. I could have turned her away. I probably should have. It would have been easier. Safer. He squeezed Simone's hand. But my grandmother taught me that the right thing is rarely the easy thing. That true strength is helping people who can't help you back. He looked down at Nia. And my daughter taught me that family is about showing up, about choosing people, about loving them even when they're scared to be loved. Simone was crying openly now, not caring who saw. So, here's what I learned, Damon continued. Sometimes kindness saves a life. Sometimes it saves 2. And sometimes, he kissed Nia's head, then Simone's lips, sometimes It saves 3. The room erupted in applause. Nia hugged both her parents tight. Later, as they danced, Simone whispered in Damon's ear, "Thank you for answering the door." "Thank you for knocking," he replied. "Actually," Simone laughed, "I let myself in. Your lock was broken." Best broken lock in the history of broken locks. They swayed together, Nia dancing around them, and it was perfect. Messy, complicated, born from crisis and pain, but absolutely perfect. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is accept help, and sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is offer it, expecting nothing in return. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, kindness doesn't just save lives, it creates them. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.